Welcome into Rattler Up with Coach Walsh. We are live from the Big Tex Event Center here at Hays County Barbecue. Make some noise, Hays County Barbecue. This is the place to be on Monday nights to talk Rattler Athletics. I'm your host, CJ Odom. With me, as always, Sam Marcus, Athletic Director, Head Football Coach, Coach John Walsh. Coach, welcome back to Rattler Up. Good to be back.
It's been a few weeks. It is good to be back.
It's been a while, yeah. Well, I like the weekly, and it's sometimes fun to do that, but it's also we have a lot to cover when we take a few weeks between. So this week on Rattler Up, we're going to get an update on a couple of exciting seasons going on in baseball and softball, and we will be joined live in studio by the head coach of the boys track team, Marvin Nash. We'll talk track and field as well as the recruiting trail, something we haven't been able to discuss here on the show. And Coach, before we get to that, the impact and the planning for recruiting is really something a lot of people either don't know anything about or might just take for granted. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I would say the bigger percentage doesn't take ownership in it like it needs to be. And I think I'm asked all the time, do you think it's your job to get kids to the next level? And I think it's our responsibility. If they put the time in, no matter what sport, if they're putting the time in and hours in and we think they're talented enough, we should be proactive. And that's Marvin's, that's his role with our staff. And it's all sports, not just football or track. He's got a lot of experience in it, and he's really good at it.
Well, we're going to be excited to talk to him and find out about that piece that a lot of people may not know a whole lot about. But also, Coach, the big thing is we open up here 2 weeks away from spring ball. Got that tweet going out today. And so tell the folks a little bit about spring ball, what it's about, the importance for the next season, and why we're excited to be 2 weeks out.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in spring ball, and it's more mental than it is physical. We know we're with our kids every single day. So we have a good idea who's going to be playing where. There are some spots when you go into spring ball that there's a competition, that there's still some questions in our mind on who's going to be the starter. But when you're around them as much as we are, we got a good feel. Mm-hmm. But it's really, I'm really proud of the kids in San Marcos and the way they have retained just the X's and O's from offense to defense or even special teams. So spring ball just enhances that. I love showing up in August, and I can call the whole playbook because we had a great spring, we had a great summer. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's a change of pace. You can only do the same thing so many times. In the weight room, movements in the turf room. It's good to put the helmets on for a little bit, and we're smart about it because UIL gives you 18 days of practice in 30 days. Mm-hmm. That's too much in my opinion. We actually only practice 2 days a week and have a small scrimmage on Thursdays. So 3 times 4 is 12, and that's the max we do. And I want to make sure they're fresh. We want to be healthy. But, man, the retention of just the schemes is what we're looking for.
And so how are the players reacting? Are they showing some excitement? Is there some nerves? I assume it probably has a lot to do with where you are in the team. If you're in one of those competitive roles, there may be some nerves. But what's the general feel from the team as they head into spring ball?
I think confidence. I bet last year if you asked me that question, there was some nerves, uncertainty. What's this about? But I think now that they know us as much as we know them, I think there's a lot of confidence going into it, and they understand the task at hand, and that's just to get better.
Well, and obviously as you're building a program here, this is something that's we've kind of gotten through all our firsts, right? And now we're starting to get into the routine. The athletes know the Rattler way, the way things are expected of them, and so that's got to be a great thing going into what really becomes the very first part of the 23 season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. I thought we made a lot of strides just off one off season and one spring. We're actually getting to stack 2 off seasons on top of each other, 2 spring balls and 2 summers on top of each other, and I think the brand of football we saw last year was pretty fun. I think it's going to be real exciting this year.
We're looking forward to it, and we'll have that all here on Rattler Up as always. But we're going to get started this week with our Rattler Nation update, and we're going to take it out to the Diamonds as we talk San Marcos High School Rattler baseball, and what an exciting couple of weeks it's been for them, and a great season thus far. We had Coach Webb here with us before to talk about what they've been up to, but let's take a look back this past week. Faced Del Valle both here and away, a home and away with Del Valle. That began Tuesday night at home. They had a dominant 8-0 victory over the Cardinals, and this game saw a little switch up in the batting lineup as Coach Webb continues to figure out what he needs as they get ready for that playoff season, and a complete game victory from junior Tito Santos. So a lot of good leadership on the mound as they take that 8-0 lead. And then that Friday night game was something special, Coach. Yeah. They go to Del Valle. They find themselves behind early. They're actually down 3-1 going into the 7th inning. They come up with two in the 7th to tie it and force the extra innings. They'd play 5 more innings. They'd go 12 total, and in the 12th, the Rattlers come out huge. They put up 5 5 runs in the top of the 12th, hold on in the bottom, and grab that 8-3 victory. That takes the Rattlers to 5-3 in district play and right where they want to be in the middle of the playoff race. What an exciting week for Rattler baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked earlier in the year about their schedule and how, you know, how he put them out there to get exposed. And I think when you hit the playoffs, I know from a football coach standpoint, when we hit the playoffs, I want to make sure we've been tested. We've hit every sort of adversity we could hit, so it doesn't surprise us in week 11, 12, and 13. And that game Friday night was huge for them because it probably looked dismal for the fans, 3-1, 7th inning on the road. To come back to tie it and then to have to do the extra inning thing, because you may have to go extra innings late in the playoffs. So they got to do that and finish it and come on top. So I think we came out a much better a baseball team Friday night going into this week.
And I think you alluded to that. We talked to Coach Webb about that grueling schedule, an on-purpose decision by the program to have an unbelievably tough preseason schedule before district, and this is where we see those dividends. The idea that they fall 3-1, they got 3 outs left in the game, and it did not appear as though there was a single boy on that team that felt like they couldn't get that done. They battle for 5 more innings. They play the equivalent of 2 games, and again, you look inside that dugout, there is not a boy on that team that does not believe they are going to get it done. That's what happens when they go and get that confidence playing those huge schools in those big Dallas tournaments. Am I right?
Yeah, if they're 19-2 going into the district or whatever because you played an easy schedule, you didn't learn those lessons, and you're going to learn them. You know, you dropped that game in Del Valle, and you're not sure how to win it when you get to the playoffs. So I think it was a good schedule, and I think our kids have handled it well. And we're learning our lessons that we need to learn before the playoffs start.
Now, speaking of schedule, I think we've talked about it off and on, but it's interesting as a coach, from a coach's perspective, they have a unique kind of way of doing it for baseball this year instead of the traditional first half, second half of the season. They are doing the home and away. So as I mentioned, we played Del Valle at home. We go to play Del Valle on Friday, and that's how this season has progressed. What are some of the advantages, disadvantages for certain clubs in a schedule like that?
Well, it makes it equal. You know, everybody's doing the same thing. And what I like about it is, you can't strategize. So say Austin Bowie has to beat San Marcos to get in. Well, if you play them in the middle, at 1st of April, and then you play them at the end of April, you can put your ace on the hill both times to have a chance to beat San Marcos. This way, you see their ace, and then you see the next guy. So, but it's equal on both sides, and I like it. We did it in Denton and I wasn't sure about it when they first told me about it, but I like it better than the alternative.
Well, it certainly rewards depth, right? Like you said, you can't just throw your ace out there every game against a certain opponent. If you throw him out there Tuesday, he's not available to you on Friday, especially now with the pitch count rules. So it definitely rewards depth, and I think that's something that plays to the Rattlers' strength.
No doubt.
In that Coach Webb makes sure players from the top and the bottom of that lineup are ready to go at a given notice. Like you said, like we mentioned on Friday, switched up the batting order pretty late in the season to make a switch like that, but he's doing what he can to make sure players are ready in any situation.
Absolutely. I think we're primed and ready. We got a big week this week against Bowie. It's a really good ball club, so we're battle tested.
And we'll talk later in the show to let you know dates that you can enjoy the Rattlers coming up, but 3 weeks remain, home and away against Bowie, Aikens, and Lake Travis. Boy, that last week of the season is really setting up to be something special. That Lake Travis week is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to follow that baseball team and talk more about them at the end of the show, where we tell you where you can get a hold of them. But we're going to get you those dates and times upcoming later on in the show. But right now, we're going to head to commercial break. And when we return, we will be joined live by Coach Marvin Nash. We'll talk track and field. We'll talk recruitment and all sorts of other stuff as Rattler Up continues. Keep it here on Rattler Up. Welcome back to Rattler Up. We are live here at the Big Tex Event Center in Hays County Barbecue, the place to be on Monday nights to talk things, all things Rattler sports. And now we are joined live in studio. Please welcome San Marcos head boys track and field coach Marvin Nash. Coach, thanks for joining us here on Rattler Up.
Thank you. Very, very happy to be here.
All right, well, we're glad to get you on here. And, you know, you've seen the show. Anytime we get people on, the viewers love to just find out about the people that we're talking to. So take a moment here and give us your background, where you've been, how you got to this point, and what brought you to Rattler Nation.
Okay, absolutely. I began my career in the financial industry. I worked for a mortgage company for about 3 or 4 years. The economic downturn kind of forced me to switch careers, where I was introduced by a mutual friend to Coach Walsh. It was his second year at Geyer High School, my first year ever at Crownover Middle School. So I was at a feeder school, and I just followed my mentor from that point on. That's what brought me here to Rattler Nation.
All right, well, we're glad to have you. It's been really exciting to see what you've done, and we're going to talk about really the two sides of your role here at San Marcos. But we're going to start with track and field. And so talk to us. I think one of the most interesting things for me as I was preparing is thinking about a track and field coach. To label you a track and field coach is really kind of not letting on that you're the coach of a dozen different things. And so talk to us about how it is that you manage to be the coach of running events, sprint events, distance events, field events. How do you put all that together? What's that like? It's a unique situation in a coaching staff. It's
definitely a chess match. I'm putting pieces together to try to help the entire team be successful, but also put our kids in individual events that will be successful for them. I think the biggest asset I have is that I'm just a coach. I'm not a football coach. I'm not a track and field coach. I coach kids. So once you get to know kids and build that responsibility, that helps you put them in the position to be successful.
Right, and so I would assume assessment becomes the big key, right? Just looking and seeing what each kid can bring and what you can get out of them.
No doubt. And you don't get that without paying close attention and spending a ton of time with the kids. And we have morning practices for our field event guys, or shot and disc throwers. We have afternoon practices for our sprinters, our jumpers, our pole vaulters. There's so many different pieces, and I get to be there from dusk till dawn. I get to be there for all of it. So
makes for long days, though, right?
Rewarding days, absolutely.
Rewarding days, absolutely. With all due respect to the ones that you may or may not name, do you have a favorite event? Do you have one that just you're particularly passionate about in track and field?
Gosh, man, there's two. There's two that I'll name. The first is the 4x4. And that's just because you have to be incredibly tough to want to run that race. Who wants to run one lap as fast as you can, then pass it to your teammates so they can run as fast as they can, and then see who has the toughest team all together? I think that's the reason why I like it, is the measure of toughness of that event.
And that is essentially the quintessential event when you think track and field, I think, right?
No doubt. And the second, I think, would be discus, just because that was something that I did. That was something I was successful in high school, and I've coached that event. It's a lot harder to coach than it is to just get out there and do it. But I love the event just because of the amount of skill it takes. It's like having a sprinter or a jumper in a ring having to throw an object. It's unbelievable.
You develop a greater respect for your coaches from when you were an athlete doing this, don't you?
Absolutely, because I was a knucklehead, so I definitely respect it.
All right, well, how's the team looking this year? Obviously, we're in the middle of the year. We got district coming up. What's the outlook? How's it going so far?
I love how young our team is. We're a bunch of young guys. We have very few seniors, but the contributors that we do have PR nearly every meet, which meaning that they're breaking their own personal records each meet that we go to, and that's always strong for where we're at. We're lucky enough that we have some volunteers that help us as well. We have great parent support, which is something that not a lot of track and field coaches can say. But we have those who can help us in each event, sponsor their kids, help with meals, and just give all-around support all together. So it's been a strong season for us.
And that's something that Coach Walsh and I have talked about on previous shows. It's very unique with that and some other individual sports. You talk personal bests. How do you handle the mental aspect for those athletes, knowing that you may know that you can run this particular time, but all that matters is what you ran that day? Absolutely. At that tournament. How does an athlete handle that pressure? How do you support an athlete under that kind of pressure?
I think the big thing is it's a me versus me mentality, and most of our athletes have heard us say that before. It's you trying to be better than you were the day before. So ultimately, Yeah, you're going against Westlake, Lake Travis, Bowie, New Braunfels, whoever, but you're going against yourself.
Because you have no control over what they do.
No,
Right.
and nor do they have control over what you do. So you control what you can control, and may the best man win in that me versus me competition.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we've also talked a lot about athletes crossing over, and track it tends to be one of the ones we talk a lot about. So being there directly, we've already talked about it some on our end, but on your end directly, what do you see as how have you seen those benefits for athletes coming and playing their sport and then running track in the spring?
Absolutely. Track is the only sport that benefits every sport. And so, our cross-country team, they work really hard in the fall. They come out in the spring to run track and run the distance races for us, but it also makes them better for next fall. It's like a preseason training. For our sprinters, it lets us believe that we're fast. I'll use one of our receivers that we're going to count on next year, Tony Diaz. He didn't realize he was fast. And now he's seeing I'm actually pretty fast, and I'm getting faster every week. That's going to do nothing but help him in the fall. I look at our triple jumper, Xavion Harris. He plays 3 sports. He came from football, straight to basketball, straight to track, with no breaks in between, and he's excelled at all 3, and it only makes him better for next year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I want to switch gears a little bit. As we talked about, another hat that you wear is the recruitment hat, right? And helping our athletes get exposure, get connected, and also just the process of what they need to do on their end. Not only get them looked at, but make sure they're preparing correctly. So tell us a little bit about your role in that, and what the big work for you is in that role.
Well, on the small scale, it is making sure that every college at least has eyes on our athletes, that they know where San Marcos is, they know what we have to offer in every sport. But on the larger scale, it's making sure that academically we're prepared, that when SAT and ACT scores come around, that we're where we need to be. GPAs are close to where they need to be so we can get actual meaningful offers, and really just preparing the student athlete for what college really is about. Because everybody sees Saturday afternoon football and, oh, I can do that. Well, that's the easy part. The hard part is getting up, going to class when you don't want to, spending 12 hours a day in meetings and practice and more meetings and having weights, and then going to class and then showing up and performing. So trying to get them in preparation with that. I think the biggest asset that I have is that our program mirrors a college program. So as far as our football program, it mirrors what a college football program looks like. So our kids are academically and athletically ready to attack that.
Awesome.
Well, I think the biggest challenge you didn't really mention is, because we're around the kids, it's the parents' trust. Like, they want their kid, they want what's best for their kids, and all they see is what they see on their phone or the computer. And it's really just educating them and trusting them to trust the process he puts in place. And it's not always easy because they're just trying real hard for their own kiddos. But sometimes that parent piece can get in the way because, like Xavion's here, he's going to listen to mom and daddy first and foremost before he listens to us. Now, we think we're the experts at this, and it's just convincing the whole family unit of, in this case, San Marcos triple jump, all right? That mom and dad, Xavion and Nash, we're all on the same page, and every sport is different because every sport recruits differently, whether it's club volleyball or it's football at the high school. So he gave you a small scale. It's a pretty big job.
Big
Yeah,
job. Absolutely.
that's a whole nother show. So.
Well, we'll come back and have that show because I'm sure people want to hear about it. Now, we have a lot of younger viewers, a lot of, especially we try to cover our middle school athletes quite a bit here. And so what is speaking of the parents, what is a piece of advice you would give to that younger athlete, especially the parent of that younger athlete? I think by the time they're in the middle school, they're starting to say, hey, man, my kid seems to be a little bit better than the others on the field or on the court. Perhaps there's a future here beyond just I enjoyed playing the sport. Really, it's starting to transition at that point. What's a word of advice you give to families that may start to see that young athlete in their household?
The biggest one for me is get pass-fail out of your mind. Pass-fail does not exist anymore. Now we're looking at GPAs. A's and B's are what you need to go play college ball. You basically have a huge pie, all right? If you make a C, or if you're a 2.5 GPA, you might as well cut that pie in fourths and take 3/4 of it away.
Wow.
That's the schools that you can go to right then. So take pass-fail out of your mind. Too many times I hear kids in the hallway say, I'm passing everything, I'm passing everything. Great, you're supposed to. Now, if you want to go to the next level and you want to be a part of that 2% that gets to go play college ball, and instead of the 98% that don't, then you have to do what the 2% do, and that's make A's and B's.
And getting those habits started early on is what's going to make it something they can do in high school, right?
And that's what the parents have control of, is their grades at home, and they can control that. And that's why I'm glad he answered that in the way he did.
Now, we also know that, so VYPE has been such a great partner for us, that Josh here producing the Rattler Up show, all the stuff they've done for our live stream, and they've actually partnered with you, with your iCoach podcast. Tell us a little bit about that podcast. You can pick that up, I think, at all your major podcast networks, streaming area, have the iCoach. You can go back and catch old episodes, but tell us a little bit about that project.
Absolutely. I began that project 4 years ago now, and it was because when I was growing up, I had a really bad speech impediment, and so I was afraid to talk in public. I was afraid to do any of this stuff. So I said, well, what's one way to conquer a fear? Let's put your voice on every streaming service in the world and YouTube, and let anybody in the world hear you. And that was one reason. But the other reason was that I wanted to talk to the heart of coaching. Like, why do you coach? There's a million podcasts right now about football, about pro sports, about college sports, and about coaches' X's and O's. I want to talk about why. Why are you here? Why do we do what we do? Why do we work so tirelessly to help kids? And not just giving my perspective, but getting other coaches' perspectives.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I could give it a plug. I'd go to Spotify, Apple Play, any podcast streaming service that you've got. Look up iCoach with Marvin Nash. Great interviews. I listened to a few of them this week, and I really, really love that project. Well, you've had an impact on so many of our Rattler athletes, both recruiting and in track and field, and it's time we meet one of them as we take a look at this week's Rattler of the Week. And so we are proud to announce our Rattler of the Week is Xavion Harris. So we're going to bring him up. Hays County Barbecue, make some noise for this week's Rattler of the Week. All right, Xavion Harris, our premier triple jumper, and as you heard earlier, football player, basketball player. So if school's in, you're playing something. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Xavion, take a little moment here to introduce yourself to the folks. Tell them who you are, where you've been, and just what you do for San Marcos High School right now.
My name is Xavion Harris. Football player, basketball player, track, everything,
Choir.
I was saying, make sure you get choir in there. I've got that down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so talk to us a little bit. I think, again, we cover all the sports we play here. Track and field is one that, people certainly know about. But I think your event, triple jump, is one that maybe a lot of people don't specifically know a little bit about. Kind of educate us a little bit on triple jump. What's the event like? What do you have to do for that?
Triple jump, I gotta explain it. It's a form of jumping. It takes a lot because when you're triple jumping, you have to have a hop phase, jump phase, step phase. It's a lot to it, but for me, it kind of just come natural. And yeah.
There's a lot more, I'm not trying to throw long jumpers under the bus here, but there is a lot more skill and thought that learns simply because of the motion that you go through, rather than run, jump as far as you can, but getting as much out of each first two jumps as possible. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what brought you to that? What makes you say, you know what, that's the one I want to do? I think I can do that one well.
Honestly, in 7th grade, I tried it, and I did pretty good, so I just stuck with it.
So what makes X good at this is, because one, he's explosive naturally, a very explosive athlete, and that's where you want to put those type of kids in, but he's also real smart and intelligent. And those phases he was talking about, you can coach yourself and out-coach your opponent. It's not just about being explosive and I can jump. You get to use that brain and just some self-discipline to make yourself a good triple jumper to where he's at, one of the top 2 or 3 in the region right now.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, let's see it in action, because you are not only the Rattler of the Week, but we've got you queued up as the Play of the Week. So we'll probably loop this through maybe a couple of times. So this is 47-2. I think this is still your personal record. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll loop it through, watch it a couple of times, let folks know what we're seeing here. What Coach or Xavion, kind of walk us through what we're seeing.
I'll talk first, but then I'll let him say what's going through his mind. Here, his approach is amazing. His first phase, the hop is great, but the second phase is always just brilliant. And I think it's called a wingtail, the drag of the back foot, and the way he's able to stay up in the air, and then the way he finishes in the pit as well. The explosiveness you can see, and then the finish in the pit.
Yeah, what is the mindset as you're running down the lane there?
Honestly, as I'm running down the lane, I'm trying to focus on my first phase to get out there, because me getting out of my first phase helps me get out of my second phase. And as you can see, my second phase gotten a lot better, I feel like, from last year, which still use a little work, but it's gotten a lot better.
Well, I think that's exactly what the season is for, right? Continued self-improvement, like you said, improving personal record, but then I love hearing also identifying specifically where to improve as we get ready for that district meet. Well, talk to us a little bit about, you just heard us earlier talking about the impact that track and field has on other sports. So tell us a little bit about what you feel running track and doing triple jump does for your football career and your basketball career.
All the sports I feel like play a certain part together. With track, it helps me like with my legs, explosiveness, catching balls, going up layups and so. It also helps with my endurance because you got to be in shape.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
I'm a little weirder as the head coach, the football coach, because what I like about it is, because I did track and my son did track, is the mental part of it. You know, he plays a position, whether it's on offense or defense, that, you know, if cornerback or receiver is, if you do good, everybody sees it. But if you do bad, everybody sees it.
Right.
And you got to be able to handle that. In triple jump right there, everybody's watching them, and you're not hiding behind anybody. So I like the mental aspect that it's, you know, when you say track complements a lot of sports, I think 100% what he's doing right now is going to make him a football player.
Awesome.
Didn't mean to swing back to football. My bad.
we know where your mind's at with spring ball around the corner, Coach,
Sorry.
and that's okay. So yeah, I've got to ask you just from a personal standpoint, football, basketball, triple jump, there's your year. Oh, by the way, and I've heard you, because I've heard you a bunch, unbelievable voice in the choir. There's only 24 hours a day, son. How is it that you keep this together? How do you keep yourself organized? I mean, I'm talking not just for you, but tips to others that want to do what you do. You're showing it's possible. How do you get it done?
Honestly, I think my parents, because they help me out a lot. But it's taking one thing at a time, basically. Yeah.
Time management.
I think that, you know, I can, like you, when I've seen you on the basketball court, yeah, you are living in the moment. You are there for basketball. When I have seen you in the theater, if you are singing with the choir, you've got your suit on, you are there for choir. That is where you are. Is that just kind of having that your mind in the place that you're in that moment?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, talk to us a little bit about your future. So when you've still got another year at San Marcos, thank God. And after that year, after you do all those incredible things in your senior year, what do you look to do and moving toward the future?
After senior year, I plan to go to college. I don't know college yet, but I want to study kinesiology.
Okay.
Studying kinesiology. I plan to keep playing sports. I don't know what sport I'm going to play yet, honestly. But I plan to keep doing it. And, yeah, going to the next level.
He'll be a college athlete.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be super excited to see it. If you haven't been out, and again, you've got a chance all year long. Come watch him play football. Come watch him dribble on the court. Come watch him triple jump. At any time through the year, come listen to him sing. You will not be disappointed in any way, shape, or form. Well, Coach and Xavion, thank you guys for joining us on Rattler Up. We loved having you guys, and we're looking forward to seeing what all you accomplish at District Upcoming.
Thank you.
All right, Hays County, give it up for Coach Nash and Xavier. All right, well, coming up next, we're going to have another Rattler update as we take a look at Lady Rattlers softball, and we know that is another huge season going on. They're about a week ahead of the baseball team, so, Coach, they got 2 weeks remaining in the softball season, and they are in a hard-fought battle for a district in our district, fighting for that playoff spot. They currently stand at 4-6 overall, but they are in the hunt for one of those playoff spots, so anything can happen the next 2 weeks. They had a big week this past week with 2 home games, one against Westlake, one against Hays. On Tuesday, they took on Westlake, and junior infielder Angelina Alvarez had a huge night with 2 monster home runs, leading the Rattlers to a decisive 13-8 win over the Chaparrals. That was a fun one. My first chance to announce a softball game. That was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, it was. I was there, too, in the dugout, and there was a lot of energy.
Oh, it was. The crowd is lively, and it sounds, I must sound like a broken record, but I mean it when I say it. These are incredibly fun places to be. You got to be out of softball fields, baseball field, watching these athletes compete. Now, Friday night was a rivalry game, and in softball, the Hays Hawks, man, they have a stacked lineup. They're a state-ranked team this year, and they came and showed why. Unfortunately, they really put the Rattlers to the limit with an 11-0 victory, and the Rattlers were not able to just do much against that Hays the defense. They were an amazing team. We saw an amazing team in Hays that night. Now, the great story from that game, however, comes in the 5th inning. You've got senior Bianca Velasquez. She's not been on the mound all this year, and it was, again, I was there live, as were you. It was just so much fun to watch. We're down 11-0. So you talk about if you're an athlete, you're hearing, you got all this negativity in your head, but Bianca goes out to take the mound in the 5th. And I have never, that team was behind her as if it was a 2-2 game in the 12th because it was her first time to take that mound as a varsity athlete. And the only inning that this happened, she sits the Hays Hawks down 1, 2, 3 in the 5th. Coach, tough loss for the girls, but talk to us about how great. That's why we love sports, right?
Absolutely.
For moments like that.
Yeah, and I think, we're talking about softball now, but I just think that's permeated through our entire athletic program right now. The teams are, it's the Rattler way. It's one family, and you can just see them working together. What I like about the softball team is, even though it's a tough loss the other night, we are where we want to be going to the end of the year with a shot to make the playoffs. We're still in it, So it's never good to be at the end of the year knowing you're done. We're just playing for funsies, but we're playing to still get in, and I love watching these girls battle. I wouldn't count them out just yet. Yeah,
if you're at the game, if the scoreboard's broken and I dump you in the 5th inning, you don't know that's an 11-0 ball game. No. And that is testament to the coaching staff. I think that's a testament to just the Rattler athletic way of doing things. We're starting to see that. That was a dugout full of girls that were fighting, loving what they do, and they were worried about that night and that night only. We'll worry about what happens after the loss later, but right now it's about Bianca. She's going out there and she needs our support. It was a lot of fun to watch.
And that's why they got a chance still.
And so for softball, they got 2 weeks to go, 4 games left. It looks like, you never can, clearly make these out with this far out, but you want to get 2 or 3 of those. Obviously, you want to get all 4.
Right.
Realistically, if you want to be in the hunt, you're probably going to need to get 2 or 3 of those. So as we talk about having focusing on the task at hand, but also knowing the big picture, how does a coach balance that? I mean, the kids are looking it up. The kids know where they need to be, but so you need to control that narrative. But I also need them thinking about tomorrow night's game only. How does the coach balance that?
Yeah, it's absolutely the here and now. You have to make it about the here and now, and their phones and internet make it hard.
Yeah.
But you just got to brainwash them, and if they look past the task at hand, then they're gonna trip over their own feet, and we don't want to trip over our own feet. So just here and now, make it happen right now.
Yeah, tomorrow night is Austin High, and that is literally the only thing that matters for the San Marcos Lady Rattler softball team.
Absolutely.
And that's got to be the way they are moving in. And so we know that that's a tough task for them, but they are doing it well, and they are fun to watch. So we're going to talk a little bit here in a moment about where you can see the softball team. But right now, that's going to do it for this week's Rattler Up. So Hays County Barbecue, you've been great tonight, as always, on Monday nights. Did everybody have a good time here tonight? Yeah. All right. We appreciate so much Hays County Barbecue for being such a great partner to us in Rattler Nation. It has become the place to be on Monday nights to talk Rattler sports. Now, before we go, we do want to remind people again about the opportunities you have to catch the Rattlers in action this week. Softball, they're on the road this week, but hey, get in your car and go. Let's go. Get up there and support them. Tomorrow night, as we said, they'll be at Austin High. That's just right up the road. Get there, 7 o'clock first pitch. And then Friday night, they'll be in Del Valle. Again, a couple of South Austin ways. If you're going to travel to watch the Rattlers, this is the week to do it. Again, 7 o'clock first pitch. Now, baseball, they're home tomorrow night, so if you can't leave San Marcos, then get on out to Rattler Field. Come get you some Hays County Barbecue on the way, and they will be taking on the Bowie Bulldogs at 7 o'clock. Lots of great stuff going on for both baseball and softball. So, Coach, we've had a great run for Rattler Up this season. Has it lived up to your vision as we're kind of wrapping up our season here on Rattler Up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody, if they tuned in, they got to see the leadership of the athletic programs with the head coaches coming in, and I hope they learned a little bit about them, and then just to see our different kids, guys and girls, coming on and advocating for themselves. I love where we're at, and I sure want to continue this show moving into next year and make it a bigger event.
Well, I can tell you definitely. So just personally for me, my youngest daughter is 10 years old. She's a softball player. So we're a few years removed from getting her into the Rattler athletic program. But as a parent, I'm excited to have her be a part of that. Just seeing where we're headed, it's going to be really cool. Well, we want to thank VYPE and our producer, Josh, for putting together a great platform for us to showcase Rattler Nation each week. Remember, if you don't catch the show or if you want to go back and watch it, you can always catch it on the YouTube VYPE channel. Go to VYPE, VYPE on YouTube and find Rattler Up. All our old shows are there. You can watch past interviews and check it out there, and then we'll keep you updated for future shows moving forward. So thanks to our live crowd here at Hays County Barbecue. You've always made it fun to talk sports. We appreciate you. And for Coach Walsh, I'm CJ Odom. Thanks for watching Rattler Up.